Hello everyone. Today we are going to split the components into multiple components because usually we have sometimes very complex components. We need to create multiple logics on the same page. We need to add multiple functionalities on the same page because of some uh, certain criteria. So today I'm going to explain you how you can split the complex UIs into divide them in and split them so it would be more readable and more easy to upgrade in the future. And also I'm going to use the material UI controls. So I'm going to show you how you can add the material UI controls on your React projects and also how you can uh, multiply your components so that you can easily upgrade and manage them. So let's get started. So guys, you remember last time we created one component students record and that we pass the properties and we are showing them on the UI. So here is the results. But this time, what I'm going to do, I'm splitting the component into multiple components with using the material UI. So let's start from adding the material UI on our project. I need to stop it and I will say, so if you need to understand where I get this command, install material UI, you'll type in your browser and there material UI have given a certain command line npm and yarn whatever you are using. So you need to copy that and you need to paste in your Visual Studio Code. So I have already done it. Before that, I'm going to show you in the package.js, we do not have any material UI dependency because we have not installed it yet. So once I go and I run this command, enter, I need to press enter. It is going to install this third-party material UI controls for the UI. So it has a lot of things like components, and there are multiple components, buttons, switches, text fields, groups, radio buttons, and they're also very user-friendly to add in projects and all very attractive. So we can add that to websites, and they'll also given the code if you need to do online practices, you can do that as well as. So if I go here, it's still installing this package. Till then, I'll show you it cover a lot of things: cards, dialogues, pop-ups, backdrops, accordions, app bars, and many more things. You can explore this Material UI website. I have experience of 2 to 3 years on this Material UI controls. They are very user-friendly, very much attractive controls. Hopefully you will enjoy it. So this is successfully installed. Now if you go in your package.json, you can see here material.ui package is added in the dependencies, and the version 5.10 16 is added in our project. So now what we need to do, I'm going to run this project. So once I start running, and now this time I'm going to explain you what I'm going to do. Currently, what we are doing, we have this UI, we have separate. This is the single control students record. It has student ID, name, and details button. But now what we will do, we are going to do, if I click on the details button, it need to show the students record and the one single pop-up. So all I need to do is, I'm going to close this one because I'm using this Chrome for for my development. So what I'm going to do now, uh, I just simply need to do some work here. I need to do a dialog here. So once I add the dialog here, you can see on the top of the page, the dialog is added. And this is basically this is the third party control we get from the material UI. That's why it's actually inherent downloading importing this dialog class from this here material UI. And in the dialog we have actually dialog title. So once I click select this, it also import from material UI. So I will pass the title student record, or we can pass the name as well as, it's up to you, no problem. And in the after the title we have dialog. The main thing is content. In the content, we are going to show all the content of this pop-up. But before that, we are going to show content text. In content text, we are going to show all the data, whatever we need to show here, right? I hope that makes sense to you, but I will explain that in detail. So don't worry, guys. I need to add some CSS things and some attributes. So this open attribute is by default we need to set as a false because we do not, let me show you so that you can understand it. Open is a default attribute of this dialog. If we pass true, it will show pop-up, and if we pass false, it's not going to show on our UIs. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to show some record on our this content. So what I can show here, I will show div, and the div I'm going to pass span, and because I have multiple things to show, like I'll say number and props.id. So same thing for second. We have name and props.std name. You already know that from where we are getting this properties. We are getting this property from app.js. In app.js, we are passing all the properties here on the control, and we are getting all this data from this are dynamic created data. This is a dynamic created data on JavaScript, and then we are passing this data to our controls, and we have multiple controls. We are reusing them and passing the values, and these are the properties. And when I go on this component, I'm using this properties. If I go on this properties as a, this prop is as a single object, and it has all the properties we can use on this page. So props.id is getting the ID of that object, and like this. And in after this dialog context, I have dialog action. In the action, we need to pass close button, like save button, edit button, delete button, whatever you need to pass you which uh, based on your criteria. So I am just thinking to pass the cancel button. So once I see the, I will pass primary. You can explore the documentation of this material UI button so that you primary is basically the default button which probably be in the blue color, but I'm going to pass some CSS to make changes. So I'm going to say cancel, right? So I hope till now you understand this. So you can see here student, and this, if I refresh this page, props one, and it's not showing any record. It's okay, no problem. Because so let me just check why it's not showing the record and what is the issue here. So now let's move on further. So till now we have by default we are showing generating the pop-up, but I would say it's not a good practice to show the record on the run on the load page if we need to click on the details button. So here, what I'm going to use, in React we have states, component level states, like we have uh, previously we have not discussed about this, but today I'm going to discuss about this. I'm going to create one const variable which is open, and set the value of this open. By default, I'm going to set as react dot use components use states. Use state is actually is a React hook that lets you add a state variable to your component. So on the component level, if you need to manage any state, you can use this use state, right? Like here it is mentioned, returns a stateful value and a function to update it. We can also use the previous values of the state, and also we can update the states. And whenever one thing very important to remember, whenever you're going to update the state, your page, your component is going to re-render it, right? So by default, I'm going to pass the value as a false because I'm not going to show anything. So now I'm going to pass here open, right? So all I need to do is now, once I click on this details button, I need to show something, right? So if I go on this details button, I will say on click, and here I will say show details, let's suppose. And we did not have this function, so that error is understandable. So we need to say const button clicked, right? So if I go on the page and I say so button's clicked, but on the click I need to show this dialog box. So what I'm going to say, I need to set the value of the state. By default it is false, so I will say true. And on the cancel, once user see all the information, so so they need to cancel as well as. So on the cancel button of the dialog box, I will say on click of cancel, I need to close this. So cancel pop up. So we do not have this button. So I will say const set open as a false. So let's go and run it. And once I click on this detail button, still it's not showing any data. So we need to figure out what is the reason why it's not showing the data. So it's clearly written the props.id, but you all know when we need to pass any property or we need to pass any expression or JavaScript thing, we need to pass the curly braces. So this is the issue. That is the reason it is not showing the data. So I hope now it is going to show the data. Let me just rerun it. So here you can see name and my number. But now I have few more things which I need to show. I have some CSS things to for diff so that it looks good, and some inline styling. The inline styling in React we can do like this. We need to write style is equal to double time curly braces and color and something like this, and you can pass like black. So you can pass the inline CSS. So, but I have already written few things, so I will repeat this. Guys, don't worry about this. I'm going to explain this and later on in my sessions also. So now I have two more things, age and email. So I have already written that. I just need to copy and paste. It's not very complex thing, so don't worry, guys. You can easily do it. And so now if I go and refresh in page, I do not need to refresh. It's automatically actually loads it. So I just click on this button and it shows me number, and name, Amer, age, and email address. And if I click on James, it shows me James record. So this is it looks very cool. But now one thing to mention here, you can see here it's a little bit complex thing. We have all the dialog box things here, and we have other logics here. So now this is the time we need to split this component. We need to create multiple components of this page. We need to add a new component for this dialog box so that it would be a separate logic. So all I need to do is in the components. I'm just go and create custom dialog.js. In custom dialog.js, all I need to do is I will just copy this code. It's very easy, guys. Don't worry. I will provide all the source code on the link, so don't worry about that. Everything will be reach out to you. And custom dialog and props. So I will use a property which I'm already getting, and all I need to do is I need to return something, and in the return I will say right. And now what I need to do, I do not need. this imports of button and all these things from this on this page. I need all of these things on this page. And now if I go and refresh this page, I don't need to refresh, just go and click on details and it's not showing me anything. Reason. The reason is that on the details button, we are saying show, we are opening the state, but we are not using this custom control. So how we can use it? So if we need to use it, all we need to do, we go in the custom control and here we need to export it first. Export default custom dialog. Custom dialog. So now we can import this control, and if I go on the students, and all I need to do is import custom dialog. So you can see it is in our same project, so we need to write like this. And if I need to use it, I will say, right. So you can see the error here. In the students record, it's saying open is assign a value but never use, which is a warning. Uh, right. In custom control line number 13, you can see here it is expecting the open, but we have not passed open anywhere in our on our page. So what we need to do, we will pass this open as a parameter to this. Whatever we are going to, if I click on this show details button, it is going to change the state of to open, and to custom dialog, we are going to say we are going to use this value open. And also we are going to use ID, which we are getting from props.id. Then we are going to use student name. I'm passing as a name as props.std name. Then then we have age. So we are going to say props.age. Then we have email. So we are going to use props.email. So we are going to use all these values. So I already told you if all the props can be considered as the object, and we have all those fields. So const, and we need to pass the fields name, open, ID, name, age, email, and close pop-up. What is this close pop-up? This close pop-up is actually also need to pass the close parameter, because otherwise we are not going to close this pop-up. So for close pop-up, name spellings must be seen close up. Close pop-up is the right name. So it would be this function, right? Okay. So because once I click here on this close button, it is going to call this functionality, and it is going to call this function. It is set the open as the false, and it is going to hide it, right? It's not very difficult. So now if I go and run this, there are some errors on line number 12, right? Yeah, we have created this variables, but we are not passing from where we are getting this value. So we are getting this value from props, right? So now if I go and cancel pop-up line number 64, here it is, cancel pop-up. So it's not cancel pop-up, it is actually close pop-up. So now, yeah, so I'm going to close this and I'm going to open this page, and so click here. You can see I close here, it closes the option. See guys how easy it is to split it. So now you can see we have get all the logic of the dialog box to this component, and it's now splitted. So if you're going on the main control, you can see here how easy to read and understand this logic. We have a separate component of custom dialog, and we in the future we can use this component as much as time. We just need to set the values as a generic, like we can or instead of writing all the fields, we can pass the object and handle through that. So we can use in at many places. And you can see here how easy it is now to read the code and also to understand the logic, and also it is not looks more complex like previous it was looking. This is the separate control for app. In app, we have multiple students record, and we are passing the properties, and in the students we have the custom control, which will get all the values of the student object and show them on the dialog box. So okay, guys, see guys how easy it is. Look, I have just created a chart for this to show you. So this is basically in React, it is actually called uh, tree structure components. We have the parent component, app component, and then we have students component, and then we have custom dialog component. And if we can also split the custom dialog component in some other components, so we have child component and so on. So this is same for if we have other components and their child and their child. So this is how the React works. This is how the component hierarchy created on the backend. So I hope this makes sense to you, and it's look now very easy and it is easy to understand. I will provide all the code and the links to that code. Guys, if you see here, if you notice something, the name is not representing here. Why? Let me just check it. Okay, if I go here and yes, on the props, I change the name to this. If I go and now check it, so it's showing me the name correctly. So I hope you enjoyed this session, and it is now very much easy to understand how we can split our components if we have complex pages and components. We can split them, and also how we can use a third-party material UI control so we can make our UI more elegant and attractive. So I hope you enjoyed this session, and I know it is very detailed session, but it is going to really help you in writing the code and splitting your complex logic, and you can understand the logic easily, and also you can if you need to upgrade this logic in the future, so it would help you. So thank you guys, have a good day, and please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon. I'm trying my best to provide you the good technical videos based on my industry experience. And if you still have any doubts or any issues in any writing the code or interacting with React, please reach out to me through email. I will provide the email in the description, and don't shy, ask questions, and you will learn it in this way. Thank you and enjoy the sessions.